Okay, so here's a question where we're given a table describing the participation of team sports at a certain school, and you notice that we have it broken down into the girls and boys who are playing these sports, the sports being basketball, football, and soccer. And here we have the total surveyed in each group. Question A asks us, in which sports do boys most outnumber girls? Now, that's kind of, I think, an ambiguous way of wording it because you're wondering probably when you read this, do I subtract? Do I divide? What do I do? Well, when things are unclear, try subtraction first. So in this case, right, in basketball, there are 50 more boys than girls because 80 minus 30, right, equals 50. Then when I move on to football, I find the same thing. There are 60 boys and 10 girls, which means the boys outnumber the girls by 50. So the subtraction technique here is not helping. And soccer's out because soccer, boys are outnumbered by girls. So now, because in both cases subtraction didn't help, I would turn to a ratio. Here on basketball, the ratio of boys to girls is 8 to 3. But in football, the ratio is 6 to 1. And of course, 6 to 1 is a greater ratio than 8 to 3, but if we're unsure, we can scale up 6 to 1 and triple it. So it would be 3 to, right, to 18. And what that tells us is that if there are for every 3 girls, in this sport there would be 18 boys. Whereas in basketball, for every 3 girls, there are only 8 boys. So football clearly has the greatest difference here. And where boys outnumber girls, whereas in soccer, question B asks, in which sport do girls most outnumber boys? There's no testing that we have to do here because it's the only sport, soccer, where girls outnumber boys. That's the only sport where it happens, so soccer would be the answer. And moving on to part C, we're told that the participation in these team sports is about the same for students at Key Middle School, so at another school. Suppose 250 boys play play sports. How many would you expect to play each of the 3 sports? So they're giving you the total number of boys at this school. How many boys then would play in each of the 3 sports? So here to solve this, I'm going to set up a proportion because I know that we have 80 boys that play basketball out of 225. So assuming every school here is proportionate, or at least this next school is, we want to know how many boys then would play basketball if there are 250 in total. And here I could solve for x. How I might do that is just multiply both sides by 250. And I get 80 times 250, right? Because over here, when I multiply by 250 on this side, the 250 divided by 250 divides out to 1, so we no longer have to worry about that number there. But on the other side, we have 80 times 80 times 250, right, divided by 225. And we get about 89. So we're going to round there. So it's about 89 boys that would play basketball at this school. And this proportion will help us with the next category. If we have 60 out of 225 at our school that plays football, how many would play football if there were 250 children? Same idea, multiply both sides by x and by 250, and what do we get? Well, 60 times 250 is 15,000 divided by 225 is about 67. So about 67 boys. Now we can do the same thing for soccer here, but I'm just going to subtract these totals from 250 to see what's left, because we don't want to give a number that's over 250. So we have 250 minus 89 minus 67, and the remaining number of boys will be those that are playing soccer. So 250 minus 89 minus 67 equals about 94. So 94 boys, right, will play soccer. And they want us to do here the same thing with the girls. So suppose there are 240 girls that are playing. So clearing that off, we have now enough room to deal with this. With the girls, there are 30, right, out of 160 that play basketball. How many would play basketball if there are 240, right? 240 girls. So now I'm just going to multiply both sides by 240. And what do I get? Well, 240 times our numerator here times 30 is 7,200 divided by 160. 160, we get 45. So we don't have to round here. There are 45 girls playing basketball. And moving on to the next category, football. If there are 10 for every 160, right, girls, then how many would there be in another school if there are 240? So I'm going to reduce this right here, right? 10 goes 160 16 times, right? So this is 1/16. And really now, when I multiply both sides by 240, I'm multiplying 240 by 1, which is 240, and then dividing that by 16. And here I get 15. So there would be 15 girls playing football. And this makes sense, just like with the boys here, because more girls would play basketball, football, and soccer if there are more girls at this school. Like there'll just be more people. And for the last step, instead of setting up the proportion again, I'm just going to subtract. So 240 minus 45 minus 15. So really 240 minus 60, that gives us 180 girls that will play soccer at this other school. Alright, hope that helped.